All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode. This is going to be a big series of episodes, or I don't even know. I might make it a really long video. It remains to be seen. On how to build a roll cage. I have had a lot of experience building roll cages. I have done it in so many different platforms. I have started off with 240s and gone all around the loop. Done harness bars, bash bars, everything. And I've learned so much over those couple of years of building stuff. Starting off with really simple rudimentary stuff and ending up at really high-end TIG welded full formula drift status cages. I want to give you guys all the information that I have on hand and pretty much empower you to build things and get a real in-depth look on, building cages, fabricating in general, welding in general, and stuff that you're going to need to know, like bending tube, notching tube, everything. We're going to go through it all. So sit back, get ready. It's going to be a long one, and I'm really going to have to put in some work for this one. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure that you share this video, not because I need the subscribers, and I would love the subscribers, but not because of that reason, not because I want you to promote my videos. Share the videos so that you can help other people see what they need to do and hopefully progress this entire community in a positive and, informative way. Thanks again. Let's get ready. Let's get going. Let's get to work. Okay, first step, remove the sunlight. I wish. We got our car. It's already been prepped. It's a little messy in here, but it's prepped. We got it all gutted out. We got the headliner out. Now this isn't it isn't totally necessary as a step, but it is a step that needs to happen if you want to mitigate some risk, like catching your car on fire. You can risk it for the biscuit, as they say. Leave the headliner in. Fair warning, probably gonna end up burning it. Even if you got the cage dropped down real low, probably gonna end up burning it. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody who smokes a cigarette, a little bit of ash gets on the headliner, holes. So imagine MIG welding or any kind of grinding or sparks or anything like that. It's gonna destroy your headliner. Good rule of thumb, pull your headliner. Next, we got the rest of the dash out. Dash is out. The dash support bar is out because this car will be a full NHRA 8.5 certified cage. In the process of doing that, you have to make the dash bar integrated into the roll cage. What we're going to do is make new mounts for the steering column, run the dash bar across it, and kind of make it so that he can put his dash back into the car. All right, the other things we got to do, I don't know if you guys can see this right here, but all this sealant, that stuff catches on fire. When they build cars, they pretty much glue them. They use spot welding and glue techniques, and what that does is it bonds the two pieces of metal together. Now, when you go to build a roll cage, that is one of the bigger pains in the ass. When you go to weld on a body of a car and there is filler, that glue filler in between the different layers of metal, that stuff bubbles up through your weld and it makes it look like hot trash. Try to avoid that stuff. Try to get it as clean as possible. Sometimes you gotta weld it. Sometimes you gotta grind that shit back out and re-weld it. It's part of the game. You don't know how it's gonna go until you light up on it. But do everything you can to mitigate those risks. Let's move on to the next step. You got your cage, or you got your car, excuse me. You got your car all cleaned out. You got it all prepped. I'm not saying you got to remove the paint right now. We're going to kind of skip that step for now. We're going to go back to that once we get some more drawings done and maybe get some stuff fitted up, because I haven't quite decided on where I want things to be. So I'm not going to start cleaning paint or filler until I know exactly what the plan is. That's one key thing. If you rush into this, you will get a rushed product. and especially if you're new. If you're experienced, you can kind of cook along through it, but if you've never done it before, you're going to end up wasting a lot of time, a lot of money if you don't sit and plan it. I'm not saying sit and plan it for a year. I'm not saying sit and plan it for a month, but take at least, you know, a day, a little bit of time, depending on your skill set and your skill level, to really kind of think through what you want. You also need to do your research. NHRA has a rule book with very specific guidelines on how big base plates have to be. The standard is it's 6 inches by 6 inches squared. Now, I've seen some cars that are NHRA certified that have had questionable size plates. Don't risk that shit. Make it, if you know that it needs to be 6 inches by 6 inches, make the base plate 6 inches by 6 inches. Formula Drift, however, has base plates that are different sizes. Formula Drift requires a minimum of 9 square inches on any plate. That doesn't determine the shape. It just determines the total footprint. 9 square inches. So it doesn't matter how you slice it. As long as it's 9 square inches and the tube fits on it right, you're golden. Excuse me. I know I'm ranting and rambling, but there's going to be a lot of information like that, so make sure you don't, you know, skip around. You'll miss stuff. All right. So let's say you got your cage kind of planned out and you want to start drawing it. I've built cages without programs. It can be done. I know that if you're trying to save money and you're trying to not really do this professionally, you're not going to want to spend the money on a program to build this cage, right? You're like, dude, I'm on a budget. I got $1,000 to buy a bender, tube, welder, everything. I get it. I totally understand. I was there. I've been there. And I went through the effort of bending tube and building roll cages without the use of a program, or CNC CAD program. If I could go back in time and give myself the information I'm giving you right now, take a little bit of money and buy this stupid program. Buy, this one's called BendTech Pro. There's some other ones that don't do quite 3D stuff. Even if they don't do 3D stuff, but they can give you total tube lengths and bend starts for each tangent. And we'll get into that in a minute. Massive, huge leap forwards. It's 100. If you can find one for cheap that does that, that tells you how long the total length, the cut length of the tube is going to be for the one you want to bend in a 2D form, get it, buy it. It will save you money. You will bend more tube trying to guess and figure this stuff out. Now, there's definitely tools you can use to make this easier if you don't want to buy the program, because I know there's going to be people out there that are like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. I'm not spending the money. And I just want to, you know, build it and learn. I get that. I understand. Let me look through here. Where the hell is this stuff? So first off, you know, a regular old, like, torpedo level comes in handy pretty constantly. These are pretty nice. They're a ruler and they're an angle finder. So you you know, you kind of straighten it out, zero it out, and then you can use it to figure out what angle you might need. This is mainly going to be used if you're not using any of the tube bending software, but yeah, still good to have. A mechanical angle finder. This thing works okay, not super accurate. I mean, plus, you know, it's a little harder to read, not as great. You're definitely going to need an assortment of tape measures. I mean, I have one down there now, but I have a bunch of tape measures. You're going to definitely need them. Other good tool to have is a digital angle finder. Now, you can get these at most hardware stores. This is real basic, has just an on and zero button. You can use that in combination with this little tool that I actually made myself. Now, Swag Off Road sells one similar to this, but this is just a piece of tube welded to a vice grip, and the vice grip acts to lock down on the tube, and then you set the angle finder on the vice grip. Now, what this does for you, we'll get into that as well, is when you're positioning the tube in the die and you start to make a bend, when you want to make the next bend, you don't want to rotate the tube at all. You want to keep the same rotational plane, or keep it level pretty much. Now, the reason for that is if you were to bend a piece of tube, pull it through, and it was to be rotated in any way, shape, or form, when you go to put that main hoop in a car, it will be twisted. It'll look wonky. It won't be flat, and that's what that clamp setup does. Basically, you clamp it to the piece of tube, you zero it out, and then you know that that plane of rotation hasn't changed. You can keep it nice and level the whole way, and that's mainly the key with that. Get into some of the more specialty stuff. This is a tube notcher. This is the JD Squared Notch Master. I bought this a long time ago. I mean, it's an expensive investment up front. It's like a $300 notcher. However, I mean, I really got my money's worth out of it. The other thing that you're going to definitely need is a bender. Now, there's a whole bunch of benders that look very similar, and they all kind of use the same setups, the same dies, and they all have minor differences. This is the Woodward Fab one. Really inexpensive, really easy to get started with, and it comes with pretty much everything you need, and then you can get a wide variety of dies. The dies aren't that expensive for this setup, but they're also not as accurate. There's definitely nicer, more precise dies. However, this will get the job done. I went ahead and retrofitted this bender with a Harbor Freight air over hydraulic ram, and Swag Off-Road also makes a kit to do this, but I did it with a couple 3-inch exhaust clamps, a piece of plate, and a piece of tube, and that was it. The Swag Off-Road one is much nicer, and it doesn't really twist and settle like this one does, because this one's really kind of, I mean, you're really pushing the limit of what these exhaust clamps are designed to do, but it actually does work. I've had it on there for well over a year. I've been, I don't even know how much tubing, and it works just fine. Let's see, what else are you going to need? You're definitely going to need an assortment of grinders, good saw. If you can't afford a nice bandsaw, it's pretty understandable. A abrasive chop saw will do the trick. However, when using an abrasive chop saw, you're going to run into a lot of issues. One of those issues with the abrasive chop saw is as the blade comes down and contacts the material, it will deflect slightly to the left or the right, and that will give you a pretty severe angle on the cut. Now, it's not to say that you couldn't get that with a lower end bandsaw, or even a bandsaw that isn't adjusted properly, because you could. However, a decent saw, and I've even seen some of the Harbor Freight saws, the larger $700 version, cut pretty straight. Now, those saws don't miter, and if you don't know what mitering is, I mean by cutting pieces at an angle, at like a precise angle. That's the huge advantage of having a super expensive saw like that, is you can cut miters and angles, and you will need to do that during a roll cage build for sure. So that's something to think about. Like I said, you don't have to go that serious. You can totally do it with an abrasive chop saw. I just can't stand them. They're loud, inaccurate, and I don't know, annoying. I can't stand them.